I love it. Welcome to the next episode of the GSD Golf Podcast. I'm your host, AT, and what a week it's been. I mean, we just dropped our latest episode last week of the GSD Golf Podcast. We had a great conversation with Jason D'Amour, head golf coach. I always want to make him something other than golf for some reason. I tried to make him a basketball coach. I almost said football coach, but Jason D'Amour joined the program last week. Head coach at Loyola Marymount, talked a lot about the recruiting process and what he as a coach is looking for. We had Josh Jacobs from the College Golf Experience on the show to talk about the camps that his team puts out and the opportunities that they create for junior golfers to get in contact with, unofficially with, college coaches to get some hands-on training. And this week on the GSD Golf Podcast, we are super thrilled. This week we have from the Hurricane Junior Golf Tour, Brett Ammons. Brett, did I say your name right? Brett, welcome to the show.
Believe it or not, you're one of the few people that's gotten it right off the bat. A lot of people have pronounced it Ammons, Amos, like in the Bible, but you got it right on the nose.
Well, good. We'll try to make sure we get it right. And if I ever mispronounce your name or anything like that, feel free to keep me honest here. But Brett, thank you for joining the show. It was interesting. I saw the Hurricane Tour had posted a behind the scenes of what it takes to pull an event together. And I say an event because anyone that's ever been to a junior golf event, a tour, a junior golf outing tournament, it literally is an event from start to finish. And I want to get into what that looks like. But for those at home that aren't familiar with the Hurricane Junior Tour and what you do for the tour, now Brett is the Southeast tournament director, and hopefully I got your title right. Maybe I gave you a promotion, and the powers that be at the Hurricane Tour can hook you up there. But Brett, talk to us about the Hurricane Tour, what it is, where people can find it, and how that's how you got involved.
Well, first off, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate what you do for golf, not just in the junior spectrum, but and beyond. The Hurricane Junior Golf Tour, we're the largest 2-day junior golf tour in the country. And the biggest part about being 2 days is the junior golf scoreboard, which is kind of like ESP for those football or basketball people. It's like ESP and then 300, but for golf. It's how people are ranked. And for the number one junior golfer, like when I was growing up, was Scotty Scheffler and Jordan Spieth on the number one, Sam Burns, people like that. So the junior JGS, they only recognize 36 holes or more tournaments. So we're the largest 2-day junior golf tour in the country. We have over 380 tournaments in 24 different states, and which range all the way from out in Arizona, all the way up to Massachusetts, down to Miami, and all the states in between. We do 380 tournaments this year. We're looking at in 24 different states, which is a lot bigger than what we started at. This tour was founded by Mr. Mario Conti, who's still our owner, our CEO. And when he founded it, it was 20 tournaments in 4 different states. Now it's grown to 19 times that in six times the amount of states. Yeah, it was only 20 tournaments in the Carolinas, Georgia, and Florida. And I think the name came from that's where the hurricanes happen.
Alley,
as we've seen, where we've seen in the last few weeks, the hurricanes and prayers out to those victims that have been hit by in Florida and the Carolinas and such forth. But yeah, we're still going strong. It started as, like I said, just Mario doing this, and now it's grown to a 30-person staff. We have 6 tournament directors. We have a bunch of staff that kind of keep everything going, from marketing and course scheduling and interns, recruitment and things of that nature. So it's grown from this one-man operation into a multi-person organization.
And for people that are at home and they're trying to think about, this is really important. This is a really important conversation, because I think as parents of junior golfers, some of our kids have gotten involved at extremely young ages. And you want to set your junior golfers up for success. You want to put them in an opportunity where they can play tournament golf that's age appropriate, because I think sometimes they get in. Sometimes we've seen parents get their kids involved where there's been, they're playing against kids that are 16, 17, 18 years old. And the junior golfer that's competing is maybe 10, 11, 12, and they're overmatched. They're just not going to hit the ball as far, as long as some of the other kids. And what you all do really well is make sure that the kids have the opportunity to compete at the appropriate age level. And to your point, I think you mentioned that you're as far west as Arizona, as far north as Massachusetts, but you don't have to live in those states, right? To compete.
No, sir, you don't. So to kind of give you to kind of expand on more about Hurricane and what we're all about. So you have so many times where in life, sometimes you're overmatched in the aspect or excuse me, in the direction you're going.
Mm-hmm.
And for us at Hurricane, we try to put kids in the right spot in the right ages. Like, for example, some tours, you have to live in a certain state to play it. For us, I like to say every player is like their own independent contractor. They can play in as many as many tournaments or as few tournaments as you want.
Yeah.
You can travel as far as you want. You can travel right next door. We have people that play in tournaments because it's their home course. Yep. And then we have some people that are from Wisconsin or North or Massachusetts or something that are playing in Florida because it's spring break. So you can travel as far as you want, playing as many tournaments as you want. We have opens, which is available to everybody. We have invitationals, and we have major championships. We have our end of the year national championships. We have 6 different age divisions, getting them more into the tour. So we have the boys 16 to 18, the boys 14 to 15, boys 11 to 13, and boys U10. And we're just about to roll out boys 10 to 11 and 12 to 13. So we're kind of splitting up the some of the ages coming in the 2024 year. And then on the female side, we have girls 14 to 18 and girls 13 and under. And they're all and players can always play up. If you're 13 years old and you think you can handle with a 16 to 18-year-old vision, you can always play up. You can always go for it. You just can't play down.
Can't play down.
Yeah, you can't be 13 and play in the U10s or whatever case may be. So we have to, and then we kind of set them at certain yards. And that's kind of what goes into setting up of a golf tournament, depending. And there are a lot of different factors, and I'm sure we'll get into those soon.
Yeah, and let's talk about that. I will tell you that we talk about Simba a lot here on the junior or on the GSD Golf Podcast, and Simba, his first experience with a Hurricane Junior Tour event was like, hey, we want to try this 2-day event. Oh, by the way, the Hurricane Tour has one in South Jersey at Blue Heron, Ron Jaworski's course. It was really cool. It was close, no problem. So we signed up, we went out, we competed. He had a great time. And then we did just like you said, we took a look at the website and we were like, oh, look, they have tournaments in the Carolinas. They have tournaments in Florida. So we had such a great time in New Jersey. And at that time he was 13 years old. And so we were going to Florida for his birthday weekend, the following weekend. And we were like, well, they got openings. Let's sign up. And the timing might be a little bit off, but we were like, let's sign up. What we didn't know is that he played and competed in New Jersey as a 13-year-old. By the time we got to Florida, when his birthday changed, he competed as a 14-year-old. Now, you see Brett shaking his head there because that's a huge difference. So parents of junior golfers, it's really important that you take a look when you're registering your junior golfers for these tournaments, what the distance is on the course. And so what we quickly learned, we knew that he competed pretty well at 5,000 yards. When you make that jump from 13-year-old to 14, 15 years old, you jump up to 66, 67, 6,800 yards. That's a long way for a just turning 14-year-old. I'm sure you've seen that difference play out on the course.
Yes, absolutely. And for our distances, for what we do now, the 14 to 15 and the 16 to 18-year-olds, they play from the same tees. And we try to go to between about 66 to 6,900 yards. And then for the for the girls 14 to 18 and the boys 11 to 13, they play from the same tees. Girls U13 play from their own tees. Boys U10 play from their own tees. And the girls 14 to 18, we kind of go, and the boys 11 to 13, we kind of go about 56 to 5,900. And then the girls U13, we go about 5,000 to 5,100. And then boys U10, we go 4,500 to 4,600. Now, there are a lot of factors into that, and I'll get into that right now. We kind of, first of all, you got to go into weather. I'm always, as a director over the last 3.5 years with Hurricane, done over 161 tournaments in 23 states all over the country. And your main thing is weather. Is it going to be windy? Is it going to be wet? Is it going to
rain?
Is it going to rain? What's the elevation like? That's another thing that we look at. Like I did a tournament this past July in Colorado, and it was like 80 80, 90 degrees out there, and it was, at a mile high. Those guys were
ball was flying, right?
Oh my goodness, it was pounding off the club face, just gone. And we were having to kind of maybe add a few yards for that case.
Sure.
And that's where you kind of go towards that 6,900, and also par, for that 66 to 6,900 is on a par 72. If it's a par 71, we back them up 100. If it's par 70, we back them up another 100.
Mm-hmm.
So I've directed Eagle Creek down in Orlando. It's a par 73 right by the airport. That one you add 100 yards. So it just depends on par, it depends on the elevation, depends on weather. And that's the main three things. We kind of set up a tournament off of that. And as a former golfer, I kind of get into that as well. I played the Hurricane Tour myself. I like to say I was on the other side of the tee box, as I like to say.
Now, you didn't just play, Brett. Hold on. Brett didn't just play. He's being very modest here. Brett, if I understand, doing my research for the show, you were one of the inaugural Hurricane Cup players. Is that accurate? Am I right there? Like, that's a big deal.
Yes. So at the beginning of the year, we have our Hurricane Cup. Uh-huh. Now, it's a little bit different in format than when I was playing. See, when we first started, it was 2013 at Sea Island Golf Club on the retreat course. And you had 12 players from each state. And you would have 2 boys from this age division, 2 boys from that age division, that sort of thing. You had a team Georgia, team Florida, team Alabama, team a lot of more of the Southeast. And then you had team Northeast, team Midwest, team West Coast, and then you had an international team and a wild card team. And this was a big deal. You had probably 168 golfers from all over the world at this event. And that's how it used to be. Now it's kind of gotten a little bit, smaller in the event size, but I was in that first team. I was 2013. I played a good bit of junior golf, specifically Hurricane. I actually have a picture of my boss, the one that started the tour, Mario, and myself at that first Hurricane Cup in 2013. And it was actually funny. It was actually the day after. Do you remember the kick six between Auburn and Alabama?
Yeah.
I remember we were talking about that on the tee box that day. Right after the tournament was over. So it was a lot of fun playing in that one. We lost to Team Florida by 1 point. 1 point.
So when you apply for the job to be the Southeast director, he has no choice but to hire you, right? I mean, you got photos of the man on the tee box.
If you look right there.
Look at that. See?
So that's me in the white right there. In the white talking to Mario. And Mario then right over there, and then Mario's right there. So I'm a big photo guy. I know where all my photos are. But yes, I see. It's kind of funny. I did my junior golf thing. I played this tour. I also played Georgia PGA, SJGT. But Hurricane was just. I love the Hurricane Tour because of how much a lot of my friends played it. A lot of junior golf's a very tight knit group. You grow up with these guys and travel around and. You stay in hotels with them. You go on the road with them. I have 2 siblings, and sometimes my sister had gymnastics. My brother had baseball, and my mom and dad couldn't take me. And I'd ride with a friend. My mom and dad would say, "Here's money to cover, whatever your expenses are." And that's the thing that I say is a very underrated part of junior golf is the close knitness of junior golfers. I saw it in my playing days. I see it on the other side of the tee box. You have kids that they're from the same town, they want to be paired together, that sort of thing. But yeah, I did my junior golf thing, played college golf at Andrew College, did my 2 years there at Andrew College in Cuthbert, Georgia. Shout out to Coach Faze and all my guys from there. Then transferred to LaGrange College right down the road from Atlanta, did my 2 years there. And to be honest, I, just like every other junior golfer, had the dreams of pro aspirations and all that stuff. I played a couple pro events. I played in the Georgia Open my sophomore year, which
awesome.
That was one of the more eye-opening scenes when I was playing with club pros and mini golf guys that this is their life.
This is what they live for, right?
This is what they live for, and they're still shooting 1 over, and I'm just like, whoa, we got some work to do here. So
a lot of work. Golf is hard, and that shows you, right?
Absolutely. And then graduated from LaGrange in May of 2019, and then actually got into the corporate world. Did sales for the Georgia Swarm, an indoor lacrosse team in Atlanta. and then actually applied to be in the sales department with Hurricane. This is probably one of the funniest stories of my life. I applied to be in the sales department with Hurricane, went through 2 interviews with Mario. And on a Sunday, Mario sends me an email. This was January of 2020. He sends me an email saying, "Hey, I need to talk to you."
Right before the pandemic, January 2020, right?
Mm-hmm, right before the pandemic. This was actually when I guess COVID was going on, but it wasn't COVID.
It wasn't. Yeah, quarantine wasn't happening yet.
Exactly. So this was actually, I remember it was the day before the Clemson LSU game. The more you know me, Mike, my mind is crazy.
College football, I get it.
My people always say I'm like Rain Man with my memory. But anyway, so I applied to be with Hurricane, and he said, "I need to talk to you." And he goes, I'm getting chills telling the story. He said, he says, "I can't give you the sales job. We're going with a guy that has a lot more experience. I'd only had 3 months of sales, so I got that."
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, good luck on future endeavors.
Thanks, but no thanks. Wish you.
Thanks,
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And out of nowhere, he says, "How would you like to be a tournament director for me?" I never in a million years.
I mean, you do have the photo, so this is you do have the photo, so he's got to find.
He knew me from my time. Me and Mario have been Facebook friends for almost 10 years.
That's awesome.
Even back to my college days. So, you want to talk about something just falling from heaven and dropping right in your lap? Before that job, I had only been to 10 states on 11 flights in 23 and a half years. And in the first year that I did the job in 2020 with COVID going on, 27 states on 79 flights.
Wow. Helping kids get better at the game they love.
Mm-hmm.
That's so amazing.
2020 was the craziest and best year of my life. I love flying. It's my favorite thing to do in the world. I would be a pilot if I had the time, I guess. But that air travel will never cease to amaze me. I think people that kind of sit back I'm eating lunch in Sacramento. Like the first time it hit me was a month and a half after I did the job. I did a term in Sacramento, California. It was actually a couple weeks before COVID shut everything down. So I was eating lunch at the Sacramento airport, and then I was based in Orlando during the year of 2020. Now I'm based in Atlanta, Southeast Director. I was eating lunch and then I'm eating dinner in Orlando. I'm like, wait a minute. In a matter of 4 hours, I'm on one side of the country, now I'm on the other.
Yeah.
When it would take me 3 days to drive there.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
And some people in our tour, we have we have a Florida director, we have a Northeast director, we have a Midwest director, Southeast director. I was what I like to call an all over director. I directed a tournament in a different state every weekend for 5 months straight.
And let's get into what that looks like when you say you directed a tournament. And for anyone that's listening at home, the Hurricane Tour Hurricane Junior Golf Tour is a great opportunity to get your junior golfers involved in the game of golf in a structured environment. You can do it as early as 8-9 years old.
Yes, 8 years old. Yes, sir.
8 years old, and they can play through the Hurricane Tour up to 18 years old. And there's an annual membership you can sign up for. A ton. It's not an annual membership where you sign up and you're just forking over some money and you don't get any return on investment. Man, they send you free stuff. You get free swag. You get hats, towels, balls. You get training aids mailed to you. I know we've done a couple things that have shown up in the mail. We're like, wow, this is really cool. And you play some of the best golf courses in America. And it's not just your rinky-dink local clubs, which are great, but you all take a lot of effort into identifying some really cool golf courses. And I know we got a chance to hook up this past weekend in Greensboro National. Phenomenal course, phenomenal weekend weather-wise. It was terrific. But talk to us about what does that go into when you look at setting up, identifying where the tournament's going to be, and then what happens from there. How do you all make this come to fruition? Because it's not just about picking a course and then sending out an email and hoping people sign up. There's a ton that goes into it, right?
Absolutely. I like to say people think about how, they show up, they hit their hour of range balls, they play their 4-hour round and they go home. If only they knew everything that went into it. So when backing up to 2008, when Hurricane first started, there's some tournaments that we did in that 2008 schedule that we still do today. Some of those courses, Mark Bostic at the Gainesville place where the University of Florida, where they practice at, we still do tournaments there.
That's awesome.
That was I remember that being on the schedule when I was playing. So, first you kind of reach out to golf courses. You know, if you do a golf tournament with them, then you kind of reach out the week or two after saying, hey, would you like to renew the contract? We'd like to keep it the same? Because you look at the PGA Tour, most of those tournaments are in the same exact time frame. Back to back. You got Honda, then Arnold Palmer, then Valspar, that sort of thing. So we kind of do the same thing. We don't want to move them around too much. We kind of want people to, like, I remember there would always be a tournament at Jekyll Island Golf Club the weekend after the Masters on Hurricane. So me and my dad, we would always want to play that one. So we try to keep the same the schedule the same. So you get the contract with these golf courses set up, you know, a year in advance. You know, you talk pricing, you talk when the tee times are going to go out, you talk what the course is going to do, you know, in terms of marking and helping us run the tournament as efficiently as you can. Then the real work starts about 3 months out. We'll kind of reach out to them. The tournament director, whoever's running that tournament, will reach out to them, you know, kind of like planting a seed, I like to say, just kind of like, hey, I'm Brett. I'm going to be the director for you. Looking forward to working together. And then as you get closer to the tournament, you kind of keep the golf course updated on, you know, how many people we're planning on having, how many volunteers or interns I'm planning on bringing. So they know how many golf carts we need, that sort of thing. Because you can't just show up the day before and be like, hey, I need 4 hours of tee times, you know?
Yeah, could you imagine?
They'd be like, whoa, we don't have any availability tomorrow. What are you talking about? We haven't heard from you in months. Why are we just now hearing about this? So you have to keep them updated. You know, first time for some tournaments, you kind of like, you know, you base your numbers on what you're going to have with, you know, how the tournament's gone in the past. You know, if you had 40 kids in a tournament last year, that's probably what you're going to have this year, maybe a little bit more. So for every 20 kids, we usually plan about an hour's worth of tee times. Because you saw this weekend, we go about threesomes, 9-minute intervals.
I mean, you're pumping them out. Like everybody's, you know, going like gangbusters there.
You hear about some people on Twitter, some golf courses, they do like threesomes at like 5-minute intervals and they're just stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
We try to not to make them too wide, not too narrow, you know, like 7-minute intervals or something. We try to be right in the middle at 9.
That's something, that's a really key point, because I think we've played in, you know, probably, if I had to guess, probably somewhere around 10 to 12 events over the last 3 years. And to that very point, we've never felt pushed and we never felt like we actually caught up to the people in front of us, with the exception of, I think there was one tournament, there was a par 3, there was something wonky. It wasn't the setup, it wasn't the staging, it was the hole. The course had a challenge with the hole. And so it was just one of those things that happened. But to that point, I think the flow of the tournaments are really cool. Also, they flow really nicely.
Absolutely. And then but like I said, we keep them updated. And then week of is kind of when, you know, the going gets tough and the hitting starts hitting. So we talk to them about, you know, tee times and, you know, hey, I got 70 kids, I need 3.5 hours of tee times, you know, and we will and if like the tee block was originally 5 hours, now we can shorten it to 3.5 and give them back that 1.5 hours of tee times, you know, to public play if they want it. Some people, they give us a gap, you know, to let the last groups feel like they're not getting breathed down their neck by public play, and also the first few groups not feel like they're right on top of public play. So I always love early tee times. Some of the interns that worked for me in the past, they know this. They know it's kind of both ways, because as a director, you love early tee times because it gives you time on the back end if, like, you know, you have a lightning delay or thunder delay or just, you know, unplayable conditions due to rain. Knock on wood, because I'm going.
And the rain, just for the viewers at home, the listeners at home. Y'all play through the weather. I will say we played it in. It's called
Hurricane for a reason. I like to say.
We played in the Greensboro National event last year, and I will tell you, it felt like we were in a tropical storm. We just kept our heads down and just kept moving. And this wind, when rain was coming, but you know what? Not a single kid complained. Not a single staff member of the Hurricane Tour complained. Everybody pushed through, and it was great experience. So talk to me about what time do you get there? What time do you get there for an early morning tee time?
You were talking about about playing through it. I always joke with Mark. I joked with it when I was playing with him back in the Hurricane Cup days, and I joke with him now. I used to joke with him like, "Why did you name it Hurricane? Like, why couldn't it have been named like Sunshine Junior Golf Tour, or like, you know, Perfect Weather Junior Golf Tour, PWJGT, I call it." he's like, well, if it's sunshine, then it rains, and everybody's like, well, I thought you were sunshine, But yeah, so for any kind of tee times, we try to get there 2 hours before.
Okay.
That's the main goal. We try to use that first hour of the 2 hours. We try to use that to make sure that we have, the A-frames on the putting greens. We make sure that we have a cooler on the driving range and a cooler on the putting green. That's one thing that I like to do.
Love that, especially in the summer months. I'll tell you, one of the things as parents we constantly say to the junior golfers is stay hydrated. Stay hydrated when you're out there in the summer months. It's phenomenal. We know that we don't have to overpack an oversized water jug because there's going to be water just about every other hole with you all. So that's awesome.
And I like to say, I don't care if I like everybody to be overhydrated than dehydrated, because when you get up here, people think, I used to, in my playing days, I was bad about not, eating my beef jerky, not eating my banana, my peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And, you got to get up to here because that sun's going to take you down to here, But that first hour, we try to, we try to get the coolers ready. We try to get, the tent up, make sure that the tees are in the right spots, make sure that the maintenance staff has moved the whole locations to our right spot. Because if they haven't, then we can go out there and check them and make the changes as we need to.
Yeah.
Just making sure we just want everything to be done after that first hour, so we can, welcome people to up to the driving range, welcome them to the putting green, talk to the parents while their child's getting ready and setting up, warming up. Just spending that first hour, just making sure everything's good. If it's like a 7 or 7:30 tee time, we'll get there about an hour and a half before. Just because if it's 7 o'clock, probably
early,
of course I haven't even
right?
got there. We'll be there at 5 o'clock, just twiddling our thumbs, listening to the radio. And then, but back to what I was saying, as well. You also want to keep. I usually will get a phone number of the head pro, the superintendent, assistant pro, somebody, just in case something goes sideways as well. And we try to. I always like to make sure, because we usually set the whole locations. We do the yardages. I mark the golf course. My guys put out the banners and A-frames. I usually like to put them in the high traffic areas where they're going to be seen, instead of just be like, where is that banner? That A-frame?
Never wondered where to go. There's so much signage and direction. It's really well done.
People don't think about that when they're out there playing. They just and for good reason. They're out there to watch their child play. But there's so much that goes into it, and you learn. I think the Brett that got hired in 4.5 years ago would be shocked at how much I know now, and that's also from years of experience with junior golf. I mean, I can't say how much I lived, slept, and breathed golf when I was younger. I grew up on a golf course, Georgia National in McDonough, Georgia. I lived on the 12th hole. Me and my dad, we'd have nightly chipping and putting
twilight golf
games. Get a little twilight golf in. We'd have 18 holes. He'd pick the front 9, then I'd pick the back 9, and I'd usually pick the holes on that green where I knew the putt, so I could beat him. And then just translating that love of golf into this job as well. It's been a lot of fun, but I like to use the phrase, I know how tough that side of the tee box is.
Yeah.
And I because I live that.
Yep.
Let me take care of this extra stuff. You worry about your golf, and I'll take care of it.
Yeah, you just worry about the golf. Brett Ammons, Hurricane Junior Golf Tour Southeast Director, is on the GSD Golf Podcast. And if you're at home and you're listening, you're like, this sounds like a really cool opportunity, I want to sign up. You can find more information on the Hurricane Junior Golf Tour, HJGT.com. There's membership opportunities. There's a ton of I think the schedule is already out through 2025, if I'm correct. So Simba and I were flying back from Greensboro, and we were looking at the schedule, and we're trying to map out where we want to get his next opportunities on the course. And it's such a great opportunity. You mentioned earlier about the bonding for yourself when you were a junior golfer. It was so cool. This weekend we were out there, and there was a number of parents, a number of junior golfers that we had seen over the years before. And it's like, oh, how are you? How have you been? How things going? And we're from Pennsylvania. They're not from Pennsylvania, Virginia, North Carolina, a couple from Florida. And it's like, wow, this is really, golf is for everybody, but it really is a small knit community. And I think you probably see that every time you go out there.
Absolutely. Yes, I do. It's kind of crazy. One of the first tournaments I ever directed, it was actually Super Bowl weekend of 2020. And there was a player in that tournament that I handed him a trophy in the 11 to 13-year-old division. And just a couple months ago, I handed him a trophy in the 16 to 18-year-old division. And I'm just like
that, they grow up.
You see it before your eyes. Like I used to hear that saying a lot from coaches. I see a lot of myself in you. And I do. I firmly believe that. And I'm not like a teacher. I'm not a, instructor, but I do as well, because parents will come up to me all the time, because it's funny how many times you say, I played college golf after Hurricane. And then before you can even take another breath, it's like, where'd you go? And because they want to know where you did. And a lot of parents will come up to me. I have hundreds and hundreds of parents right here in this phone that will text me, what do you think he should do? Where do you think he should go? And also coaches too, that they'll email me for a player's info, their phone number, their email, their address, to send them some stuff, especially once September 1st rolls around and they can legally start sending
there's
people
there's
stuff.
That time. Let's talk about that, because we did just wrap an episode last week with Coach Diamore from Leola Marymount, and that very conversation point came up, that when you're out there playing, kids want, especially when you talked about the 16 to 18-year-old bracket, kids want the exposure. And I think the Hurricane Junior Golf Tour offers kids an opportunity to get that exposure. Talk about maybe some experiences where you've had a college coach show up to watch play, or maybe to your point, they called you and said, hey, we're going to show up this weekend. Anything you need from them, just to kind of be aware. How's that work out?
Oh, absolutely. Back in my playing days, they start looking when the kid starts turning about 14, 15, 16. And I tell people all the time, if you think it doesn't matter when they get younger, it does. It does. They start looking. Joe Inman, the old head coach at Georgia State, I went to a college golf seminar when I was 16 years old. He said he recruits on three things. He recruits on athletics, because they got to be able to hit the ball and make a putt.
Got to be able to hit the ball. Yep.
Academics, he said he would recruit a guy that shoots 72 with a 4.0 rather than a guy that shoots 67 with a 2.0, because that 2.0 is after 12 years of school, 14 years of school. He can't help him with that. He's at home, he can help him as a coach at golf. So academics, athletics, but also attitude. He does not want we'll just say that, on his team. He doesn't want someone bringing down the team morale. He doesn't want someone that the kids on his team don't want to hang out around or practice around, or he doesn't want somebody like that. And I have different coaches. JP Kircher, he was one of the coaches that I went up against during my college golf days. And he used to hit me up all the time for, player. He used to send me a list of players. They are looking from all the way from, it doesn't matter for kids out there. It doesn't matter if you go to D1. It doesn't matter if you go to JUCO, NAI. You are playing college athletics. You are one of the 0.006% high school athletes that play college ball.
100%.
It doesn't matter where you go.
I think that's a forgotten point, because I think a lot of parents, my kids got to go. They got to go D1.
D1 or bust.
The kids got to go D1. Oh, I got to go to North Carolina. I got to go to Stanford. I got to do these things. But the reality of what you just said is so important. The percentage of kids that actually go on to play at the next level, whatever the next level is. I mean, I coached CYO 8th grade golf last year. You know how many kids on that team have gone on to play in high school? One.
Just one.
Right? Just one. Because the kids have other things that come up, things that go on. They have life that happens. And to progress from high school to college, you're one of, right? Because you played at two colleges. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And I kind of take that back to my younger days, because we were talking earlier. I used to hit the ball very far, so I kind of play up a little bit, and also I'm a July baby right in the middle. And for a lot of tours, if you get some, like for example, for our age groups, if you have these, if you're 15, and I tell people all the time, if you play our tour and you are 15 years old and you turn 16 at any point in the year, just go ahead and play 16 to 18.
You might as well at that point, right?
Because you're playing the same tees. And once you get to 16, you got to play 16 to 18, but those points don't transfer. over to the 16 to 18-year-olds. So why not just go ahead and do it? Even if you turn it, even if you do it November 30th, right before our end of the year national championships, when the points stop. So I tell people, I was a July baby, so I used to play up throughout the year because I don't want to lose those points towards the end of the year point standings. And I tell people all the time as well, just don't, or enjoy it. Enjoy the grind.
Yeah.
Enjoy the grind.
Golf is hard. It's fun, but it's hard.
Golf is hard. It's the great. I tell people all the time. I'm a man of many sayings. Golf is one of the greatest sports in the world because it's all you.
Yes.
But it's also the hardest sport in the world because it's all you.
All you. It's all you.
Even in tennis, Mike, it's all you in tennis. But you still got to worry about what Venus or Serena Williams is hitting to you. If they're hitting it low, if they're hitting it high as spinner. It's just golf is just you and the golf course. You're not playing against the other person. Even if it's match play, I guarantee you, if you birdie every hole, you're going to win the match.
Yep.
It's all you. There's no one to blame but you. There's no one to get the glory but you.
If you have to blame someone, blame yourself. Brett Ammons, Hurricane Junior Golf Tour, Southeast Directors on the program at the GSD Golf Podcast. This is such a great conversation. I just have so much respect for the Hurricane Junior Golf Tour and all that you're doing to help kind of grow the next generation of golfers. Brett, again, if anyone's at home and they want to sign up, they want to register for an event, do they need to be members to register for an event? Nope.
So I guess I'll go into more about the tour. So we just rolled out our 2025 schedule. You do not have to be a member to play our junior tournaments, but there are many benefits that come with it.
Absolutely.
So for we just rolled out the 2025 membership. That's starting at $299 for the whole thing. That gets you early bird registration, which means you're saving $120 off per event. It also gets you regular registration between a member and a non-member is $85.
Okay.
And then you also have access to 300 tournaments a year. Now, we have 300 open tournaments a year, but as your son Reed played in this past weekend, we have some invitationals.
Yep.
We have mid-seasons. We have regional invitationals. We have the national championships. And you can only play in those by playing in a hurricane tournament in the past. I'm actually about to go up to Chicago tomorrow to run our Midwest/West Coast
I saw that one posted. That's pretty cool.
At Harborside, just on the south side of Chicago. You also get some of our sponsors, which include some short par 4 golf apparel. You get discounts to top brands like Mizuno, Srixon, Foresight, Bushnell, Rangefinders, which was my go-to. And then one of my favorite sponsors, because I love their channel, Good at Golf. And I love those guys. I've actually
good, right?
I've directed a tournament back in March at where they do their majors, Purcell Farms.
Yep.
I did a tournament there, and it was so cool watching it on YouTube and then watching it with your own eyes. But then we also get some stuff from collegegolfcoaches.com, some recruiting tools, some gifts. It's all on our website right here at HJGT.org. Just trying to go to the game. We have different. We have so many golfers that have gone on to play college golf. Mm-hmm. They come back, and some of the parents, they'll text me over the years, hey, he just committed to Coastal Carolina University. Thank you for all you did over us throughout the years. Right now we're still in 24 states. We're always looking for more, and we have the reason we went from 20 tournaments to 380 tournaments is people love our tour. They love what we do. And a lot of times it's like a head pro's son is playing in the tournament. They love how we do stuff. They love how easy that we make it for the kids. And they'll say, hey, here's my card. Here's my card. Talk to me and we'll get something for next year.
I love it. And that's such a huge point. I think as the kids, as the junior golfers continue to progress, there are other junior tours out there, right? Mm-hmm. I think one of the things that really struck us was that you didn't need to play in 3 or 4 or 5 other tournaments to try to get X number of points to try to kind of sort of maybe sign up for an event that was 3 blocks away, right? So what I love about it is if I look at the schedule and I see a tournament that's here in Pennsylvania, a tournament that's in New Jersey, that's in Delaware, that's drivable, and I'm like, okay, registration's still open. We can get into that tournament, go play. He gets a chance to compete against himself, compete against others, see familiar faces, and work on his game. And I think that the way you all have really set it up is really beneficial for the golfing community to continue to grow the game of golf with junior golfers. So shout out to Mario for growing this from 20 to 380. That's amazing. And I only expect bigger and better things for you. Before we let you go, Brett, I want to talk one more question for you. And I promise you, I know your time's valuable. What are some of the things, we talked about the things that you do with your team to prep for, set up for these tournaments. What are some things that parents that are listening, that are like motivated to sign their kids up? Their kids are listening. The kids are like, hey, I want to go play in the Hurricane Junior Golf Tour. What are some things steps the parents should take to prepare their kids for this experience?
Well, first off, make sure if the player wants to do it. Yep. I can't tell you how many times from my playing time and then on the tournament director side that we
talked about this today, right?
A kid that like I'll never forget one time I shuttled a kid and he said, I'm only out here because daddy paid the bill. And I felt so bad for him. He could have been, he could be playing baseball. He could be playing tennis. He's out there
riding a skateboard. He could be reading a book, doing anything he wants.
I felt so bad for the kid. And, but make sure that the kid wants to do it. If my dad used to say, I will pay the bill. You just let me know the moment you don't want to do this anymore. Let me know, and I wrote it all the way out to a degree in college. So, but make sure that the kid player, your son or daughter, wants to do it. Make sure they have the right equipment. I can't tell you how many times the kid has a driver too short, putter too long. Make sure they got.
Don't have their parents lock their equipment in the car and lose their keys.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's a difference. Yeah, I remember that from this weekend. But the little makeshift set. So, but make sure that the equipment is don't just go buy. I can't tell how many times people I went and bought this because I saw Rory hit at 300. It's like, do you know how professionally tailored that driver is for Rory's game?
Yes,
the shaft, what was it? Bubba Watson went through 100 putter grips just to find the right putting grip.
Yep. Well, we talk about that all the time. That's a really good point. Making sure that you want to get the right equipment for your junior golfer, and the right equipment doesn't necessarily mean you go out and spend $900 to $1,000 on a driver. It might mean you go and you test out a few drivers, and yes, you talk to wherever you're at, a PGA professional that can give you some suggestions. But when your kid is 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, they're potentially going to go through another growth spurt, and they're going to outgrow that $1,000 driver. You might want to do things in a smart fashion. And
exactly. Yeah, that is a good point. Don't go crazy on the set the kid has when he's 10 years old or she's 12 years old or something like that, because she's going to hit a growth spurt. And that I saw a lot of players, they stopped playing the tour because they were so used to the swing path being here. Now they're 6 inches taller and they're all out of sync. So
all out of sync.
Be careful about that. Make sure they have some people can be self-taught like Bubba Watson. Some people need, a coach for everything, like you see these guys, they got a putting coach, they got a swing coach, whatever. Make sure that they know what works for them, make sure another thing, make sure the kid is enjoying it. We talk, it is for everybody out there, player or parent, it is called the game of golf for a reason. You are playing a game. I wish I could go back and tell, the kid in college, Brett, that it is just a game, because the times of the range sessions until 8 p.m. when I used to have to flip my flashlight on, and just because I'm like, this last range ball is going to be it. And I'm just like so frustrated. Just remember, it's a game. You get to play a game.
And it's a lifelong game too, right? You can play this game. We talk about it all the time that, this is not a game. If you decide you want to stop competing in the game of golf, what we want you to do is understand that this is a game that you and I could play for the rest of our lives, right? We can go out and play with mom, and we can go out and play with our producer Christian, and we can go out and play with friends and families and people that have no skills or people that are competing. We can all get out there and play the game of golf. And also let them know you're never too old to pick up the game. We have I can't tell you in the last couple of years how many times I've said, when did he start playing? And they said, oh, COVID. Like COVID took golf to a level it had never seen. The last level, COVID took golf to a level it hadn't seen since Tiger Woods came out in 1997. Yeah, I agree.
And because it was the only thing to do. There's the only thing to do. Some basketball courts were shut down. Some bowling alleys were closed, things like that. So it took people that were, baseball players and football players. It took them into golf because they realized they didn't have to worry about their left guard missing a tackle or the center not setting the block for them on the basketball court. It was just them. And a lot of kids, they love that part of it. They love teams. Team sports are great. Don't get me wrong. I played team sports my whole life.
Yeah.
But when it's all you and it's just you and this small little golf ball that can either go a yard or 300 yards, So,
and sometimes when it goes 300 yards, it doesn't go straight to where you want it to go.
And the last thing I will say to players and parents is enjoy the grind, enjoy the hotel rooms, enjoy the long car rides, enjoy the range sessions. I'll never forget the putting games I had with my dad, and then walking back through the woods, through our backyard into the garage and, trash talking him the whole way. Those are the things you never forget. I'm 28 years old now. And those are some of the best memories are on the golf course. Funny story. The first time I ever broke 80 was actually on a course we just ran a tournament at. It's called Heron Bay on the south side of Georgia. Okay. The first time I ever broke 80 was the same day I beat my dad for the first time.
That's crazy.
And coolest moment.
He was there for it then. So it's a memory that the two of you have forever.
He was there for it. And then we ended up celebrating with a Longhorn steak dinner.
See, there you go. And you're right. And I think I talk about this a lot about the memories. And I shout out to the Hurricane Junior Golf Tour, because you literally and figuratively are making memories for these parents that are involved with their children out on the course in nature. The kids aren't playing video games. They're out, they're walking, they're getting exercise. The parents are walking. It's so cool to see parents walk along. And that's how really part of why we got into this podcast was because we realized that we were walking along on these golf tournaments, watching our kids play. And we were talking to other parents and we had the same experiences. We had the same emotions. We had the same feelings when we see our children struggle and when we see them survive and thrive. We all go through those same emotions. And it's really the only sport where you have that individualistic experience. Because like you said, when you have a team sport, there's 5 on a basketball court, 9 on a baseball field, 11 in a football field, right? And soccer and so on, and lacrosse and all that stuff. But when they're on a golf tournament, it's just them, the stick and the ball, and that's it. And you watch them struggle and you watch them survive. So we love what the Hurricane Junior Golf Tour is doing. Brett, tell us again, for those at home, where can they go sign up for upcoming Hurricane Tour, whether it's here in 2024 or in 2025?
Of course. So you can go to our online website at hjgt.org. There's a easily drop. The first thing you'll see is 2025 membership. We're obviously taking on as many as want to come. I mean, we'll open up more tournaments. We'll start more tournaments from scratch. I can't tell you how many times we've had to, start a second tournament because we had just so many at one. And you can also call 407-614-2962. That's our phone number again, 407-614-2962. That's our phone number. Where that phone line is available on Mondays and Fridays. And we have somebody that can help you out from 8 o'clock till 5 p.m. if anybody wants to do it over the phone. That we're already getting people signed up for 2025 event. I think one tournament I checked this morning for 2025, we already have 60 applicants.
The really cool thing about the Hurricane Junior Golf Tour is the opportunities are endless. The memories are there to be made. And Brett, I want to thank you for being such a great tournament director and helping bring all of that to life for families like mine. We love what you and Mario are doing.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And the last thing I will say, the last piece of advice I'll give to our players, for anybody that I know you've had a lot of college golf coaches on there. If you're trying to play junior golf, and I can give you one piece of advice. When I was 16 years old, I realized I wasn't getting a lot of talks from coaches. So I figured, why not I go to them? And so if you look up online, like the old saying is, if you're good enough that they'll find you. That's true in a way, but let's make it easier for the coach to find me. It was September of 2013. It was my junior year. I filled out probably 300 of these questionnaires because college golf coaches, they talk.
It's a small community.
it's a small community. It's
Yeah.
not as cutthroat as like, college basketball or football.
Mhm.
When he was coaching, Nick Saban probably wouldn't have called up Kirby Smart and said, "Hey, you need to recruit this guy."
Yeah.
But in college golf, they're there to help each other. I went to Andrew College because someone told Aaron Faye, my coach at Andrew, who funny enough is actually now the head coach at the second school I went to, LaGrange College. He told Aaron about me, and I tell people, parents come to me all the time. It's November of my son's senior year. He's not getting any looks. He's not getting any calls. I got my first scholarship offer in Aaron Faye's office on my dad's 46th birthday, April of my senior year. And I played 4 years of college golf.
And that's spot on. I think you need to be your own hero sometimes and be proactive in that outreach and kind of get out there and share the things that you're accomplishing to motivate others. I love that story, and we're definitely going to share that.
But yeah, fill out as many of those questionnaires as you can, because like I called myself the original Josh Allen, the quarterback of the Bills, because Josh Allen, when he was at his junior college, he sent out like 1,000 emails to every head coach, quarterback coach, and offensive coordinator, and he got one response, and it was from Wyoming. Look where he is now. He just signed a $200 million contract to be the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah,
it takes. College recruiting, all you got to do is be right once. Just like being an entrepreneur on Shark Tank. Everybody, Mark Cuban says it all the time. You only got to be right once.
Only got to be right once. No lies told there. Brett Ammons, Hurricane Junior Golf Tour. We really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining the show. Hopefully we can do this again, man.
Absolutely. I'd love to be a regular guest on it. I got a lot to give you.
Awesome. Thanks for joining.
Thanks so much.
Brett Ammons, Hurricane Junior Golf Tour Southeast Director. Thank you for joining the GSD Golf Podcast. Look, the Hurricane Junior Tour is one of many tournament opportunities for our junior golfers. It's a really, really good opportunity, though. It's one that puts the kids in the right age bracket, gives them a lot of opportunities. Brett was talking to us a little bit about all the things that go into making a tournament happen. It's amazing that they get there so early in the morning and they're there so late at night, but it ends up coming to fruition. And really, it's all for the kids. It's all for the junior golfers and the growth of the game. Brett Ammons, Hurricane Junior Golf Tour. We appreciate everything that you do, and thank you for joining the GSD Golf Podcast. As always, we are here to help you get shit done, whether it's for your junior golfers or you as parents of junior golfers. We are here to help you get shit done on the golf course. We do it in a little bit more style and comfort with Hurdle.